Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is John Zagrodzky. I'm chairman of the Board of Finance, and tonight is our annual statutory meeting as part of the budget process. So the purpose of this meeting is actually to hold a hearing, and this hearing is intended to give members of the public a chance to speak on the town budget as well as the Board of Education budget. So the way this process works is normally we would be meeting in the auditorium and speakers would come up and speak from the podium, but given the circumstances this year, we are attempting to do this virtually. I think it'll work just fine, but a little bit of an experiment here to manage a large meeting like this. So one of the things we did to get the meeting organized was to invite members of the public to register beforehand to speak to us tonight with their comments. And so we had two folks registered to do that, Kara Bonsack and Lori Olson. So I'm going to start with the two of them. Once we finish with those comments, if there's anyone who's dialed in who would like to speak, that is perfectly fine. There's a hand raising function, I believe, on the screen here for these Zoom calls. And that if you press on that or signify that you'd like to speak, we'd be happy to recognize you and hear your comments about the budget for this year. So thanks to everybody for joining. We will go ahead and get started. I'd like to recognize Kara Bonsack. Kara, Jim, can we let her into the meeting?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you for being here tonight.
I'm Kara Bonsack, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. I promise I'll be super brief. I've lived in Darien for 15 years, which I appreciate makes me a newbie. I currently live at 106 Pear Tree Point Road. Like I'm sure all of you, I love living in Darien. I think this is a great town and we do so many things well, not to mention the care that everybody on this call puts into crafting a incredibly complex $150 million budget. So thank you. There's one small thing that I think would be awesome for the town this summer, and that would be to fund some simple, what I think is overdue maintenance at the Pear Tree Point Beach bathhouse. I sent an email before the meeting and there were some photographs attached, and I think you'll see there's peeling paint on most of the walls. The sink basins are chipped. The mirrors over the sinks are missing, and many of the faucets are rusty. I appreciate the commission's doing a longer term project to find the right long-term plan for the beach, the bathhouse, the boat ramp, the harbor. But I think this summer, especially with the pressure that the pandemic is putting on our beaches, it would be a really terrific service for town to have simple, clean, well-maintained bathhouse. And I hope we could find the funds to do that. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak, and most importantly, for the work you do.
Thank you, Kara. Much appreciated. Thank you for being here this evening. Next, we'd like to recognize Lori Olson from CDSP. Lori.
Hi, good evening. I'm Lori Olson and I live at 16 Little Brook Road North. I am co-chair of CDSP, the Council of Darien School Parents. CDSP represents the Darien Public Schools parent community by working with all 7 PTOs and representatives to engage parents and determine consensus on issues. Tonight, we would like to share our thoughts on the Board of Education's 2021-22 budget. The COVID-19 pandemic has helped us realize how incredibly thankful we are for our public schools. Years of responsible and forward-thinking leaders positioned our district to be nimble and creative. Our schools were positioned well for the global pandemic, and we are so appreciative of that. We are also thankful that our town was prepared to provide the additional resources required to run our schools this year as safely as possible, and with as much or more in-person learning than anywhere else in the state of Connecticut. Thank you for the collaboration between this board, the Board of Education, the RTM, and the administration in working through the appropriation process. We are hopeful that any future challenges or additional COVID expenses can be handled as smoothly. We believe the district administration and the Board of Education have put forth a financially sound budget, and we appreciate the creativity and innovation. Of particular note, we think this budget does a good job of, 1, making sure there are adequate resources to meet students wherever they might be academically next year, and 2, ensuring that this budget can support reasonable progress forward for our district while also affording the new status quo. On the first point, we expect next year will be a period of recovery as we dig out from the pandemic and the schools work to meet all students where they are. Despite the great work this year, there will be deficiencies for students. We appreciate that this budget protects for small class sizes, introduces a new elementary assistant principal position at the elementary schools to better support all learners, and maintains other student-facing supports like team taught classes at the high school. We are also in support of the budget control line item as a means to be prepared for volatile shifts in enrollment. Regarding the new status quo, this budget includes a number of changes that have likely been accelerated due to the pandemic. We certainly support the district in continuing to fund the replacement of outdated devices, Wi-Fi upgrades, new software, and additional staffing for tech support, as these expenses represent the new cost of doing business. Lastly, this budget includes some exciting initiatives to move our district forward. For example, the Teacher in Residence program and the investment in STEM offerings mark exciting progress for the Darien Public Schools. It is also worth noting that there is a tremendous amount of enthusiasm from parents about the recent discussions on removing portables. These new initiatives are investments, not just in our schools, but the entire Darien community. We thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening.
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. Would you be able to send me a copy of your remarks? That would be terrific.
Of course, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, those are all our registered speakers. If anyone who did not have a chance to register would like to address us this evening with your comments, we'd be happy to hear from you. And we can do that through the raised hand feature. So I'm not seeing anyone. Does anyone have any comments they would like to offer this evening that has not spoken? Jim, do you see anybody?
I don't see anybody. I would just say if anybody's having a problem raising their hand, you can just enter your name into the comment section or the chat section, and we can open it up as well. John, a few people just joined. If anyone has questions and they'd like to address the board or have comments, just press the raise hand button.
Okay, I am not seeing any comments. I guess I would say that this is not the only time that you will be able to engage the Board of Finance as part of the budget process. We have several budget review meetings that are coming up in March where we will discuss both the town and the Board of Education budget, as well as various aspects of the budget process. We would very much invite anyone who's watching tonight and any taxpayers or citizens to watch those meetings live or participate in some way. In addition, if you've got questions or feel you'd like to just submit us an email to pose your question or statement, you're welcome to do that. You don't have to just speak tonight. You can send us a quick note that we'd be happy to get back to you and try to respond to any issues that you may have or concerns you want to raise with this board. So I won't keep everybody. If we don't have any other comments, we'll go ahead and end this meeting. Does anybody else on the Board of Finance have anything to add or any quick questions while we're convened? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn from a member of the board. Okay, Rob? Yeah, Rob and Frank. All in favor? Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you, friends. Good evening.